and welcome to the Big Picture Manatee podcast, where we engage, educate, and inform our community on issues facing Manatee County residents. I'm Sherry Corrier, a former county administrator and 30-year employee with Manatee County government.
Hey everybody, I'm Misty Servia, former county commissioner, lifetime Florida resident, and love my community.
And hi everyone, I'll greet you at this moment by saying, go Canes, go. My name is Reggie Bellamy, former county commissioner of District 2, and excited to be here. Welcome.
All right, so everybody, today we're here to talk about a couple things, but first we want to remind everybody it's still hurricane season, and that back in June of this year, the Big Picture Manatee, all three of us together here, helped you out with reminding you about ways to get ready, stay safe, to help new residents and current ones remember how important it is for you to be ready for hurricane season. So while there's only about 2 months left, because the season officially ends on November 30th, and we all know from past experience together that we have to keep our fingers crossed that we've seen the last of the storms like Tropical Storm Debbie. Not even a hurricane, but you never know. So we want you to continue to be prepared, to stay alert, and to be ready.
Yeah, that's right. And we know, we've all lived here for so long that these storms pop up at any time during hurricane season. And September is usually the worst month. And I know that because my husband and I were married in September, and there was a major storm wedding day. And it seems like every time we celebrate our anniversary, we're going through that. So, that's why residents need to keep their hurricane supplies stocked, your evaluation plans, your property safety stuff all up to date. Be ready.
Yeah, and that's why I said go Canes, go, to be honest with you, because we don't want no hurricanes to come this way, so we want the hurricanes to go the other way, so go Canes, go. But I do recall, in recent years, hurricanes Irma, Michael, and Ian have all occurred during this particular time as far as the month of September, and many residents weren't fully prepared or protected. Look at just recently what happened within over the 19 inches of rainfall with Hurricane Debbie in 24 hours. Not Hurricane Debbie, Tropical Storm Debbie in 24 hours in the month of August. It took everyone by surprise, and yes, she was just a tropical storm. So many residents of Manatee County and Sarasota County are still in recovery mode and can't afford another one. Please be prepared.
Yeah, so you're right. You never know. Hurricane, tropical storm, tropical depression, especially if you're someone who hasn't been in this area for very long, you just have to kind of really watch and make sure. So going back to Tropical Storm Debbie and why we're talking today about the impacts from that was because it's recently been reported at a commission meeting that $56 million worth of damages were associated with Tropical Storm Debbie, and that number is growing. So, that makes mention, for me at least, because I live out east in the Parish area, of the repairs and the status of those to the dam at Lake Manatee. So what's going on? I know that's top of mind for everyone near this area and around this area. So just after the storm, what was good was the county commission voted to conduct an independent audit about the dam and the functions and the events surrounding the release of over 18 billion gallons of water. 18 billion.
Yeah, and that number is so hard to really understand. 18 billion gallons. I mean, that is enough water to fill 3 Lake Manatees in a 24-hour period. So I'm really concerned about it, and the damage assessments to residents never impacted before. I also don't know, I don't want us to lose sight of the damages that the residents of Center Lake suffered and Shady Brook. Those are 2 developments that I kept a close eye on while I was county commissioner. And I'm reminded of the discussions we had on the commission, Reggie, when we were there, about stormwater improvements that were needed and what we could do with the pure strain. These have not happened yet. And the Center Lake residents especially suffered just catastrophic losses. Every single one of those homes had water inside their homes. And I drove around the subdivision a couple of days after Debbie, and there were just piles and piles of furniture, bedding, carpeting, everything that we all use every day in our homes. It was all trashed and out by the.
Well, the reality of it is that the things that took place with Tropical Storm Debbie has devastated the residents of Center Lake, and it seems like nobody's hearing them. And I agree, something has to be done. And Misty, to kind of reflect on where we were, talking about the stormwater drains and all of the concerns and the issues, it almost seemed like no one was listening to us, to be honest with you. In District 1, many people, been in residents frustrated, and residents showed up at the commission meeting demanding answers and relief. And one family reported that after living in Paris, almost 2 decades, and they had never had that type of flooding with that magnitude. Their barn was destroyed and their equipment rendered useless, with the animals having to be sent off and boarded for safety until they could get back to them. The county said they were negotiations with a firm to conduct an independent investigation. Now, okay, yes, there needs to be an investigation. Okay, but what happens after the investigation? And what's going to take place next? All right. And the county has also gone as far as, asking the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council to serve as a neutral auditor. We know that Lake Manatee can't act as the water supply reservoir and the stormwater retention reservoir at the same time. And we do have some storms brewing within the next 5 to 6 days, from what I understand. So the concerns are heightened.
Yeah. And, just the suffering of people, and it hasn't stopped. It's kind of like, it's all the damage, but when we go tropical storm, a lot of people don't understand because there wasn't wind. This was a rain event, and that's what I'm worried about. Like both of you are talking about, I'm worried about it because there's other communities that suffered that are still looking for answers, like communities in Lakewood Ranch, which have never been impacted by anything like this. They had dramatic flooding and they could not figure out why. So they want answers. They want answers to this, and they want to know whether overdevelopment caused some of that, attributed to it. Also, though, attributed to the added flooding issues across the entire county. And I think this is something everybody is on the same page with. It's not one community over another, because for sure Center Lake has been the subject of an awful lot of damage in many, 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 many years. So the other things that are coming up now from residents are this recent stripping of the land, just barren land for development. And is that having any kind of an impact on the flooding? And of course, we know scientifically, geologically, that when there's no place to structurally take water and it's abandoned, there's no more vegetation, there are no more trees, that this is definitely a problem. So we're really concerned about that. Residents are concerned because the commission now has approved massive developments beyond the future area boundary line, and they've been called out by these residents for this very reason. And residents are really have looked up and said, this has got to be part of the impact. So while the county continues to insist that the water release from the dam and these recent overdevelopment projects have nothing to do with the flooding, I really don't think we're going to be able to convince anybody of that, especially residents in Lakewood Ranch, in River Club, Center Park, and out in Parish, where they suffered all those damages.
And, for me, Lakewood Ranch to have flooding there is kind of like the canary in the coal mine. If we have flooding in Lakewood Ranch, there's something really wrong. I want to comment on what you said, Sherry, also about the clear cutting of the land, because you know, there was a time in Manatee County where we didn't allow that. And then there were some developers who argued, that, hey, if I have a Swift Mud mass grading permit, I can go ahead and clear the land. And I know our legal staff said, yeah, we got to let them do it. But now, because I'm working in DeSoto County, I will tell you, we do not allow people to do that.
Yeah.
In DeSoto. So it may just be, I don't know, different legal interpretations. I'm not quite sure how we got to where we are, but that clear cutting the land is having a dramatic impact, I think, and as far as all of this flooding, and there's just no place for the water to go. But
Yeah.
here's what we know about the dam. I just want to throw out a couple of facts here. So the county rebukes the idea that structural concerns contributed to the flooding. And 2 phases of dam repairs have been completed in recent years. A cutoff wall that protects earth and structure, and an almost complete repair to the downstream. Also, you know, the current dam cannot withstand an impact like of even half the size of Tropical Storm Debbie without a severe breach of the dam. Now, we think these topics are extremely important, and we're going to be following them, and we are standing ready to update you when the next status is reported.
Yeah, so here's what I'm thinking in my mind. The water will flow if it has somewhere to go. It will flow if it has somewhere to go. And I just want to ask you all, just allow me to reflect. When I was a kid, when I was coming up, the Memphis area, in the area right north of 17th Street, was known for retaining water, and I'm talking about a lot of it. When I was a commissioner, we dug in deep, and we collaborated with the city of Palmetto and the county. And what the city of Palmetto and the county did, they took a drone and put it down in the drainage, and was trying to figure out what was the reason why the water would not flow. And I think it was very, very important, to be honest, that you had a lot of the runoff of the debris that was stopping the water and creating the bite flow, and wasn't allowing it to flow properly, get to the canal, and then get to the canal and get to the river. And it was some torrential rain back then, and I'm not trying to compare the two, but I do know the alarm will sound a little bit different when it's out there echoing in those areas like Lakewood Ranch, and people are people are flooding. Then it's the Memphis area, but that's a whole nother conversation. And the reality of it is, we are not trying to scare anyone, right? And we've told you what we have learned throughout our research. And the point here today is that you need to stay prepared and get ready. And I would go on further to say, if you have a drainage somewhere close, then be mindful of the stuff that you allow to run in it. Clean up around it and make sure things don't, run off in it, because that sometimes creates the bike up and things like that. But the reality of it is, we don't want anyone to suffer.
Yeah.
We don't want anyone to suffer, and we want everyone to be as safe as possible. We definitely don't want water in people's houses and impacting their families and their furry friends.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. So, all the points that you guys are making are they're top of mind. I mean, whether it happens now during hurricane season, or something unusual occurs with some other form of storm, which can happen at any time, right? It doesn't just have to be during hurricane season. It's, as a citizen, be mindful, like Reggie said, of what's around you, and that if you have problems, to contact the county about coming out and cleaning out a particular ditch or, runoff area. And like Misty was saying too, about, we're going to watch out for what happens with the report. Hopefully it's being worked on now. It's speeding up, because as we know, the government doesn't work in a lot of fast ways, because the people really can't wait for something like this. So again, part of what the Big Picture Manatee is all about is for us to help watch for you about important topics that you need to know about and be aware of. And we want to thank you all for tuning into this episode, especially as we talk about what's important to people all around the community and in these areas that are suffered. So please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share our episodes by using YouTube channel, The Big Picture Manatee. We're also out there on our website, thebigpicturemanatee.com, and you can send us topics to be watching for. So we will be back soon with some new episodes, but we will be staying up and reporting on the ones, especially this one today, that we talked about. So thanks so much. We appreciate you watching. Bye, everyone.
See you next time.